Good morning, everyone. Greetings and salutations. The council meeting for the 10th of September. Please join with me in standing for the opening karakia. Whakataka te huru, whakataka te hei te tonga, kia mana tina te te pihuta, kia mata te tai, i hei le te hi ho, hi huka, hi hahu, te hei mariora. Thank you very much. Just a note that item 8, our new footpaths program, has been withdrawn from today's agenda, and there is every anticipation that it's coming back next week at this stage. I have apologies from Councillors Goff, Councillor McDonald and Councillor Cotter for lateness, and Councillor Henstock for early departure. I'm happy to move that, and the seconder is Tyrone. All those in favour? Oh, yeah, he may be on Zoom. Okay, cool, thank you. All those in favour? Aye, against, thank you, that's carried. We don't have any declarations of interest, but if anyone think they've got one, please let us know. So first up, I'd like to, this is Christchurch Methodist Mission Public Forum, welcome Jill Hawkey to talk about the launch of the campaign to raise awareness about older persons housing. Very good to see you again.
Kia ora. Tēnā koutou e hiuhi mai nei I tēnei rā. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you today. So I'm here on behalf of the Christchurch Methodist Mission to present Doors to Dignity, a campaign focusing on one of the most pressing and under-recognised challenges facing Aotearoa, and that's ensuring that all older people are housed well. It's not just a housing issue. It's about all people ageing with dignity, equity, and the necessary support that they require. The Retirement Commission estimates that by 2048, 40% of retirees, so it's around 600,000 people, will be renters. Most will rely on New Zealand super, which was never designed to support renters. The result is that we'll have a growing cohort of older New Zealanders facing housing insecurity, financial stress, which, as we know, impacts on both physical and mental health. In just 5 years, the number of people aged over 65 on the government social housing register has more than doubled. That's more than any other age group. And we're seeing a growing number of older people in housing distress coming to the Methodist Mission in search of affordable housing. This is a systemic issue, and it's accelerating. The private sector is not filling the gap. Developers aren't building the accessible, affordable one-bedroom homes older people need, unless they're in retirement villages, which are financially out of reach for most renters. The rental market is ill-equipped to meet the needs of older tenants. This disproportionately affects Māori, Pacifica, women living alone, who face structural barriers to home ownership due to pay gaps, caregiving responsibilities, and historical injustices. So without intervention, this is going to become a full-blown crisis. At the Methodist Mission, we've seen what is possible. Wesley Village offers over 70 affordable homes for older people, a shared living space for kaumātua Māori, and a community hub. The result is strong social bonds, improved well-being, reduced resilience on health and social services. It isn't just anecdotal. Research shows that community-based affordable housing, including papakainga, co-housing, multi-generational housing, improves health outcomes, reduces loneliness, and enhances access to services. Let me share briefly about Sally's story. Sally received notice from her landlord. She spent weeks searching for a new home, facing long queues, unaffordable rents, and poor quality housing. She ended up staying with friends for 10 weeks. Eventually, Sally, who's in her late 70s, found a home at Wesley Village. And today she says, everyone's included here. Everyone feels valued. I'm so pleased to be here. So the Methodist Mission is about to launch a 3-year campaign to draw attention to the emerging crisis for older renters. We're calling for leadership across political parties, across departments, across sectors. Specifically, we're looking for a long-term housing strategy for older people with cross-agency coordination and multi-party support. We're looking for ring-fenced funding for older persons' housing. And we're looking to local and central government to activate policy levers that increase affordable housing supply for older people. It's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. It's an investment in well-being and equity and future-proofing our communities. We're launching the campaign on October the 1st. It's the International Day of the Older Person, with a photographic exhibition by David Cook, he's a photo essayist from Massey University, and he was the artist in residence at the Christchurch Arts Centre last year. David worked with our tenants at Wesley Village, the tenants at Otatahi Community Housing Trust and the Peterborough community to develop this exhibition. So look out for your invitation and do come along. What we're asking for you as council is that you explore what levers you've got that incentivise the building of 1 and 2 bedroom affordable and accessible homes for older people. Let's not wait for this crisis to deepen. Let's lead now with foresight, with compassion and courage. Kia ora koutou.
Thank you, Jill. That was very good. We're out of time, but is anyone, one question, if anyone, Marcus, put your hand up first. Good, way go.
Thank you. Certainly a tsunami of problem coming ahead. Are you familiar with Abbeyfield homes?
Yes, and Abbeyfield is a good model for people who want to actually live collectively, but I know that they've also got a very long waiting list.
Yes, no, we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the trouble you went to. Thanks, great. Okay, so now we've got Dogwatch Sanctuary Trust, and we've got Amelia and Bridget. You coming up too? Yeah. Good. Talk about waiving registration fees for rescue dogs that are in temporary care. Welcome. Good to see you.
Kia ora koutou, thank you very much for having us. My name's Amelia Ryman. I'm the fundraising manager at Dogwatch Sanctuary Trust, and we also have Bridget Patterson with us here today, who's general manager. We are here to bring a little bit of awareness to our work, and then we've also got some suggestions to bring up later in our presentation. We really appreciate the opportunity to share Dogwatch's crucial work with you today and how we support Christchurch City as well as wider Canterbury. The purpose of this presentation is to show how Dogwatch supports Christchurch as a whole, assists Christchurch City Council Animal Services, and reduces pressure on council resources. Dogwatch is a local, Christchurch-based, independent and self-funded dog rescue. We've been operating for over 40 years, since 1982, and have rehomed thousands of dogs since opening. We intake dogs from Canterbury Council pounds, as well as private surrenders, with a large proportion of these dogs coming from the Christchurch City Council Animal Shelter. Many of these are dogs the council has been unable to rehome, including complex cases. Our mission is simple: rescue, rehabilitate, rehome. Every adoption from our centre includes desexing and vaccination, and our work is supported by over 100 volunteers alongside dedicated staff. Our community outreach program helps prevent dogs entering the Pound system. We provide community desexing vouchers, dog food assistance, advice, rehoming support, and pet essentials to owners in need. Our behaviour advisors support adopters with training, helping dogs remain safe and well managed. We also educate our volunteers and adopters on responsible dog ownership, like lead use and secure fencing. This means fewer strays, fewer surrenders, and fewer animal management call-outs. In July this year, we partnered with local vets to run 2 vaccination clinics at Eastgate Mall car park. This was in response to a parvovirus outbreak in Christchurch, which directly affected dogs in our care and across the community. Nearly 300 dogs were vaccinated, with free dog food, flea and worm treatment, and essentials such as collars and leads given out. Christchurch City Council Animal Management also supported the initiative by offering free microchipping at the events. We strongly believe in preventing problems with dog ownership before they arise and acting proactively. The vaccination drive also highlights the strong demand for affordable vet care, especially during the current cost of living crisis. We regularly intake dogs Christchurch City Council can't rehome, reducing the need for euthanasia. So far this year, we've already taken in 28 dogs from Christchurch City Council alone. Every dog watch adoption includes desexing, vaccination and microchipping, preventing unwanted litters and disease spread. We conduct property checks with our adopters to ensure homes are secure, reducing escapes and future call-outs. We confirm home ownership or landlord consent, lowering the risk of abandonment or dumped dogs. In short, we reduce impounds, prevent repeat problems, and improve public safety, directly supporting the council and the wider community. Currently, we do this at no cost to Christchurch City Council or the community. On the basis of this, we have a few suggestions of how Christchurch City Council can support Dogwatch and offer some reciprocity. We propose council waives dog registration fees for dogs under Dogwatch's care or at other Christchurch rescues. Owners will still register and pay registration fees once they adopt from us. We also propose the Christchurch City Council Animal Shelter includes desexing in every adoption, adjusting their fee to cover costs, as is already done in Auckland and the Waikato. This would significantly reduce dog overpopulation and impounding. Finally, we propose Animal Services offer subsidised desexing vouchers to owners reclaiming dogs, funded through a small portion of registration revenue. These are small, affordable shifts with big prevention benefits, and we feel the public would support as good use of dog registration funds. If these actions are adopted, the benefits are clear. For council, this would result in fewer impounds, lower enforcement costs, and less pressure on animal management. Desexing Christchurch City Council shelter dogs in particular would reduce dog overpopulation long term. For animal rescues, waiving registration fees would offer fair recognition of our role and reduce overhead costs. And for the community, the benefit would be fewer unwanted puppies, healthier dogs, and safer streets and public spaces. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thank you very much. And you have used time, but Pauline has got a burning question.
I've got a very quick question, thank you. Look, if we were to, and as these are really good points, and I really support the desexing idea because that will help a lot. How many numbers would we be talking about, do you think?
In terms of from animal management?
Yes.
Excuse me, you'd probably have to discuss that with them. I know that last year they did around 60 to 70 adoptions from their shelter. Obviously, dogs being reclaimed, I would say, is probably a higher number. But it's not huge numbers that we're talking. And then it has a long-term benefit in reducing costs.
Just thinking about the cost and where we get that from. And would you support perhaps loading it onto the dog registration fee, like a small amount?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the dogs being reclaimed, the desexing fee there could be on registration fees. We would suggest probably for their adoptions, folding that into their adoption fee. Our adoption fee is $4.20. That covers desexing, vaccination, all those bits and pieces.
Yeah, I was more thinking like spreading the cost of those dogs across all the dog registration. There's 45,000.
Certainly. Yeah, it would just be up to Animal Services how they budget that.
Consult on that, but it might be a way to do it. Well, thanks so much for coming in. Beautiful pictures.
Thank you. Yes, they're beautiful dogs and puppies, aren't they?
Thank you very much. Very good to see you again. Good on you.
Will
Well
do.
done. Okay. So now we've got Simon Fenwick, who will talk us about outdoor dining on Tramway Lane. Welcome, Simon.
Hey, so my name's Simon. I'm a designer, landscape architect and architectural designer. So, look, I've been in Christchurch since 1991 and, you know, been through different financial crises and, of course, the earthquakes. But what's amazing about the time we're in now is Christchurch is really coming into its own as New Zealand's best city. And this little project is just so we don't sit on our laurels and sit back and relax. It's continuous improvement. Now, all of you know that people make places, and we've got some great places going on in Christchurch with the new strip riverside development, but with the stadium opening up on the east side, we've got a huge influx of people through accommodation, events, and concerts, and all over on that east side, which is quite a long way from Riverside. So if we want to continue creating attractions and places for people, one of the ways other cities have done it, like in this picture here of Melbourne, so I'll click through, is just to develop laneways and do public-private partnerships with laneways and really try to activate them. So which button do I push to go to the next one? Ding, ding, ding. Oh, yeah. Okay, so these are another couple of pictures of how laneways can be activated. The laneway we're talking about is Tramway Lane, which is on Hereford Street, just close to Manchester Street, goes between Hereford and Worcester. Part of it is used for the tram to get to its maintenance shelter, maintenance workshop. But the end that we're talking about is actually close to Hereford, across the road from City Fitness, if you know what that is. So I just want to go to the next slide. So there's some more examples of what activated places. Now with these places you can see that it's people. I mean, it's actually a grungy dump of a lane, but it's all the sides have been activated through public-private partnerships, and there's people buzzing. Okay, next one. Yep, you don't even need a huge space on the side for tables and chairs. Yep, next one. Yeah, yes. Okay, so here we go. I don't know if we can zoom in a little bit on, yeah, so if you look at the photos down the bottom, yeah, just like the photos we saw, tons of people, all happy and activated. Not. So what we've got is a little cafe developed by our client on the left, and we've got a 6 metre wide laneway that we could activate. This is one of the dirty 30 buildings on the right, I think, but so that's a derelict building, but we're talking about the cafe on the left. Okay, next one. Yep, so this is a plan, but we'll actually go through to the next image, if that's okay. All right, so this is half the laneway activated with corten steel planters, some retractable awnings, and all movable furniture. Some of the paving redone with a central hidden drain, and still vehicle access one way down on the right side. If we go over to the next, I think there was one more. Oh, okay, that one needs to be turned. Oh, yeah. Okay. So there you go. You can see there's still plenty of vehicle access, whether it's temporary or one-way or bollard controlled. On the right, the access to the tram workshops is actually further down the back, and the tramway lane, the tramway tracks obviously don't come down here. So, in short, you know, continuing to improve and create attractions on the east side of the city centre, there's the opportunity for a public-private partnership here, and could rent, if the council would be willing to rent some space to cafe owner. That's it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Timothy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, this image, you know, like it seems kind of upmarket because I've been to the Melbourne ones and I've been to New York, and they are literally just really simple tables and chairs they put out in a strip, and it works. This one there, you've got cushions and all that, which is lovely. But I'm just thinking the private, we at times we still kind of do a wee bit too much. The operators, because I'd love to see the derelict, the dirty 30.
Yeah.
If we offer this, hopefully those sides of the buildings would open onto the tramway.
Well, that's the key thing is if they can open up. I mean, you're saying it's, if I'd shown grungy buildings, then there might be grungy furniture. There could be criticism the other way.
Yeah.
This is only an indication of how traffic management and the amount of space and the ability for service vehicles to go.
I love the vision. It's really responsive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Simon, and I'm sure something will quietly progress.
Thank you.
Peter here on behalf of Wild Capture Research. Yes, there he is. Good morning.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Mayor and councillors. It's a privilege to be here this morning and to be able to present to council. I'm based in Otatahi as an ecologist and a researcher, and my primary concern is just the apparent lack of an index of the availability of Christchurch City Council reports relating to biodiversity and ecological matters within the Christchurch City region. I've just struggled over the last 6 months to get a basic index of reports that have been compiled by the council. The council ornithologist has advised me that he's written 300 reports in the last 30 years, and I'd emailed him in May. He said he would have a go at compiling a list of the reports in the next financial year, but it's still in progress. He subsequently sent me an email saying that he would like to have increased funding to cover the staff time for him to put that report together for me, or that basic index. I've also received a reply from the City Council that to get an index of biodiversity or ecological reports would cost me between $1,200 and $6,000. So it was considered to be impractical for that information to be provided. I guess I feel a certain level of alienation. I'm very passionate about Otatahi and the city's biodiversity. I've lived here all my life. I've actually even written a City Council report in 1990, but I can't find that on any index either. So there are some basic summary reports available, but I really want to delve deeper than that and look at the full suite of reports that have been written. And I do acknowledge that not all, for one reason or another, may be publicly available, and there could be caveats on some of them. But it's just about having, I guess, a sort of catalogue system. Sort of feel a bit sort of perplexed by it. I know the Christchurch City Council does have a very accomplished team of ecologists working here, and as a resident and ratepayer, I'd like to see a lot more publicity and transparency about the work that they do. I know there's a herpetologist, there's an ornithologist, a botanist, there's a whole team of people, but I guess a lot of the public just aren't really aware of the work that they're doing. And it would be good just to have a lot more information out in the open. Last year I noticed large amounts of weed being dredged out of the Apawaho River, and there were large amounts of native fish in the weed that was dumped on the bank. I phoned the City Council to talk to a freshwater ecologist, but the receptionist advised me that the City Council didn't have a freshwater ecologist. So 2 weeks later, I actually did find out the City Council did have a freshwater ecologist, and I arranged to meet with her just to discuss my concerns over this issue. Unfortunately, she didn't attend that meeting, but we did have a subsequent Zoom meeting, which was quite productive, and she said she would send me a follow-up report that I'm still waiting for, but hopefully that's in progress. For me, it's just a question of having publicly available information. Banks Peninsula is the global stronghold for the spotted shag, and my understanding is from research done by a City Council ornithologist that the species has gone under an 85% decline in the last 30 years, with population halving in the last 5 years. I consider this to be an issue of national interest for seabird conservation, and again, it would be nice to see the City Council disseminating that information to the public more. I also research a critically endangered bird, the Mātuku haripo, in Canterbury for Environment Canterbury, and I would like to work a lot more with the City Council on researching and managing that species. But yeah, that's basically just the thrust of it, really, is just having an index of reports. And I know that the council, to its credit, actually has done a lot of reports. And I know Andrew Crossland's a very passionate ornithologist and very accomplished, and he has written over 300 reports. So it is somewhat frustrating that I can't see the basic titles of all those reports that have been written. I actually started bird watching with Andrew Crossland in 1985 at the Avon Heathcote Estuary, and we jointly did bird counts around the Bromley oxidation ponds. At the age of 15, we were lucky enough to actually see a new species of wading bird for New Zealand. So yeah, we go back a long way, but to me, it's just more a thing of frustration, really, and it comes down to that old thing that Noam Chomsky said: you just don't know what you don't know.
Okay, so we've got time for one question. Celeste, please.
Thanks for coming in, and it's always good to hear about sort of areas where we can improve. I know we're still waiting on the biodiversity strategy update. I actually thought we were going to get that as part of the annual plan, so we're still waiting for it. Do we know when that's planning on coming back to us? And as part of that, can we pick up on those points? Because I think that would be a good opportunity to give visibility, and also we could probably look at updating. I think there's some work going on with the website to provide information through that. So if we can link in all the work that's happening behind the scenes, more public facing, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. And I've asked the CE to see how we can get through the tape.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank
Good
you.
on you, mate. Thanks for coming in. Okay, Susan here to talk about rates and cost savings, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I did send a submission in yesterday, and I hope everyone received it. Good. Yes, so talking about very serious matters, a major funding by New Zealand and this council indirectly of the United Nations emissions trading, etc., Paris Agreement commitments, astronomical figures, and the whole question is they're completely unaffordable. I think I've proven that in my submission. Brian Leyland, electoral engineer par excellence, has said that New Zealand is already spending $4 billion a year on all climate matters, including taxes on fuel, etc., etc. All of this goes back to the 8.5 RCP or RCP 8.5 requirements, by which are the extreme level with a 1% probability, which all councils, it seems, in government have been locked into by the Ministry for Environment. These are unrealistic, and the result is we have totally unaffordable expenses. Michael Kelly, the illustrious engineer from Cambridge, who is a New Zealander, has estimated that New Zealand would have to pay $660 billion to install all the infrastructure required, and $330,000 per household by 2050. All of this is based on a climate scam, which has been proven to be based on exaggerated figures. Oxfam uncovered a major loss of $41 billion by the World Bank, where this money had disappeared into thin air. It was unaccounted for. One would wonder if any of our billions had also gone into that and disappeared into who knows whose bank accounts. It seems as if the belief in the climate change narrative has become almost cult-like. It threatens Armageddon. Nobody can question it. It demands enormous amount of cash, as cults do. Managed retreat, I've also mentioned, because the council had a report done, which I think it was by Tonkin and Taylor, which said that in 100 years the sea level would rise 1.4 metres. Well, a US report for the Ministry of Energy has just come out in July saying it's 8 inches, and also William DeLonghi in his report to the Otaki Kapiti Coast said it's 15 centimetres per 100 years. So therefore I'm suggesting that if the council enforces managed retreat on the figures of 1.4 metres, as in the report, it will be subject to litigation. A note that the Mayor said council debt plus the business branch collectively owe $5 billion. I'm just wondering what the percentage of rates interest costs are. Obviously nobody wants to be paying interest indefinitely, and to me it's a pretty cynical exercise on the citizens of Christchurch for council staff to be running up more and more debt, and planning also to spend another $1 billion by 2034. So yes, there's also been a very significant leak which came out from the Ministry for the Environment at MFAT, which said they're suggesting to government, and been doing so for the last year, for New Zealand to spend billions to send it to other countries to fulfil our decarbonisation, because they're saying we're running a year behind. So they say it'll be only in the low billions. Well, we can't afford any of those billions. They're just disappearing into a black hole. And I'd say to this council, dump the climate spend completely. I note that in the financial report, the coastal adaptation alone will cost up to $3.6 million annually. All of these, completely unnecessary. I'd like to say also with the CO2, I mentioned that the Mayor's plan for petrol head activities align with the reality, which is the CO2 levels are historically low. If they go down to 150 parts per million, all life on Earth stops. In actual fact, by burning fossil fuels, we've actually raised it slightly to less dangerous levels. Normally it would be about 2,000 parts per million.
How are you getting on there, Susan? You got far to go?
Yes, I think sort of covered all the points I'd made short notes about, so I'd welcome any questions.
Yes, I'm sorry you've used up all your time, but everyone has taken on board what you've said, and they've got the submission you sent in. So thank you very much for making the effort to come in and see us.
Yes, I feel sort of honour bound to do this research, and as being retired, we have more time than the workers do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good on you. Good on you. Okay, so Drusilla, we'll talk about visitor centres, please.
Kia ora.
Good morning.
I'll sit. Oh, your pen. Good. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Right. Kia ora, people. Thank you for hearing me. I am Green Moon Studios at outlook.com, but I plan to become a trust to promote events, toy archive and visitor centre. We've actually been going 20 years, but I've been doing construction. So my photocopying bill was 45,000, got 100 grand tied up in stock. I've given out 18,000 to help different community groups over since 2014. Okay, Christmas parades, a lot. We need a new community event and visitor centre in Christchurch. Number one, the old, I can't say it. I can't get my head round. I'll just show you the picture. I get tongue-tied. You know that building? Yep. You've seen it? Seen it? Well, at the moment, there's 3 rooms there for $85,000, and that would make a great visitor centre. The only trouble is to make it viable. I actually did look at that building. That was about 1919. It used to have a coach outside. Then you had the visitor centre in the post office, which they did, but the rent for that was $195,000 a year. The art centre, that was about $214,000, and then that closed. Now, the other day when I was in Kaipoi talking to the Kaipoi people in their visitor centre, one of the girls was actually working from there. Mr Rainbird, I was involved with Mr Rainbird, but I came in at the later end. My son was actually going to set up the bar. There's 20 staff, but they made some silly mistakes, and there was things out of Mr Rainbird's control that he could not control, like somebody embezzling money overseas, and they couldn't bring their money in. So there's all those things. I lost money, my son lost money, but what I noticed the biggest problem was communication. Nobody even knew that I was even an investor at the end, you know, and I put a lot of work into it. I actually had put 8 years of all my work into 8 weeks, did a whole lot of boxes so that when people came in they could see this display, exactly like they do at Littleton. They put it in the cupboard and I never got it back, you know, and so... No, that just made me really angry. I went to Dunedin. I went there to a writer's workshop with Pip Hall. That was in 223. I walked 4 hours getting one side of town to the other because all the roadworks to go and look at the visitor centre. They had 3 staff, and that was eyesight. The problem with eyesight is quite expensive. I feel we need, because it's becoming unviable, it needs to be more an event. The thing about if we had this facility, I'm looking at 4 others, it doesn't just have to be this one, but you've got to make it viable, like have a room that they can rent out so they've got some income. I'm not going to tell you my age, but 30, 40 years ago, you would turn around and just do a sign, go to the council, you'd have somebody from the council, somebody else from Environment Canterbury. That is what needs to happen. I will be coming back to you after the elections to bring this up again. I did have done my figures just to employ full-time if it was on a commercial basis and it was in that building with myself doing 10 hours plus 2 staff being paid full-time, $350,000 to run it on a year. I'm now going to I did have a really great conversation with a lady who runs a centre outside Ashburton yesterday, and theirs is done on a commercial, using volunteers. I'm now going to try and jack up to go to Littleton, but I've done all the running around. I rang the Minister of Tourism. I tried to get hold of Eyesight. You know, and I've decided, no, this is the way we need to go. It needs to have the council on board. I will be presenting in front of Environment Canterbury as well. And on Friday, I went and had a look at the Canterbury's Open Day. Because of my mapping system, I'm looking into getting into data health. And I went and had a look at the animation studio. And because that is going to be the amount of young people doing gaming. And what I thought of with the event centre, what we could have it like, it has events, it concentrates, people can, the older community who do not do IT like me, they still need to come and have one-to-one engagement. But then we could also have it that it was a training thing as well. I also did ring and talk to a caseworker at WINS. So I've done all the running around. And this is just to keep you informed. And I will be back after the elections. And best of luck, and I hope you all get in.
Thank you very much. Good, always good to see you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, is Ian here, please? Talk about using rates to mitigate climate change.
Well, thank you very much for the chance to talk to you again. This is probably the third time I've presented to many of you. I'm not going to go through all my slides, you've got them, but can I ask you to go to slide 5, please? These are the oldest temperature records in the world. They commenced soon after the thermometer was invented. They commenced in 1659 in the southern part of England, central England, and ironically, that's where the Industrial Revolution started. So we've got temperature records for nearly 100 years prior to the start of the Industrial Revolution. And of course the Industrial Revolution slowly increased. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see the overlaid carbon emissions that man has added. And you'll see it's made absolutely no difference to the rise in temperature. Now my challenge to you is if you go and spend money on mitigating temperature increase, if we've made no difference with a 371,500% exponential increase in CO2, what effect do you think you're going to have by trying to reduce emissions when the two are totally uncorrelated, or they're uncorrelated, yeah. So the council represents the people of the city, and you are charged as councillors to seek justice and to run the council's affairs so that the oppressed, the fatherless and the widows are considered in your decisions. This approach is foundational to Western civilisation. I challenge you to scrutinise my information and not to follow an ideological agenda when taxing constituents. I do give public talks on this. My longest presentation is 2 hours. And I access people who invented the satellite that goes around the planet every day recording the Earth's temperature since 1979. And I also access the man who consulted to the American government, who just helped them to design the laser that shoots down satellites and missiles. So he knows a lot about the atmosphere. So I'm prepared to share more information, but I appreciate the brevity of time that you must allow each representative who comes along to talk. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions? Oh, Timothy, please. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming in. I do remember the last time. For me, representing in my ward, the Cashmere Hills, so the Port Hills of large, from say our ward or our community board from Godley Head through to Kennedy's Bush basically. The concern there is the dry periods. So I'm kind of more interested in reducing pollution because it's kind of, you can argue temperature whatever you want, but it's really looking at pollution because the concern there is fires, etc. So I think reducing rubbish should be done anyway, irrelevant of the arguments.
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
Pollution and climate change and temperature increase are not related.
Yep. Yep.
We should all be dealing with pollution.
Cool. Thank you very much. Cheers.
And Melanie, please.
Oh, thank you. Look, I was just wondering I've got 2 questions. What software you use to model that linear line to that graph of the temperature, and just what the R value is?
Yeah, well, good. I've drawn that by hand, but I suggest Excel would give you that figure. And if you want to change it by a tiny bit, it makes no difference to the emphasis that comes out of analysing that graph. Number 2, I can do an R squared or an R value if you want, but it's going to tell you, you can see just looking at that, the correlation is 0 between the two. So my challenge to you is if you're going to reduce emissions, it's going to make 0 difference to that graph.
Okay. All right, no more questions. Thank you very much for coming in, mate.
Thank you.
Good. Always good.
Right.
Okay, David there, talk about strategy, please, and Ratepayers Task Force.
Is there any chance of getting some water, Mr Mayor? I've got a bit of a throat, which might impact this presentation. Would that be possible? And I hope the clock is not ticking while I wait for that. That would be greatly appreciated.
Too late.
Thank you so much. Assisting me today is Liz McFarlane-McKenzie, and we have something exciting to reveal, and she's going to assist me at the appropriate time. But in the meantime, I think you've had one of these before, Mr. Mayor. You're going to get another one.
Okay. Prostrate.
Right, thank you very much. I do apologise. I normally have a presentation for you, but for some reason several pages are missing. So what I will do is reassure you that you'll get a copy later. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to present what I trust you will recognise as a momentous opportunity for the future of Christchurch's ratepayers. For those that don't know me on live stream, my name is David Lynch, and I serve as the principal of Momentous Public Relations, a consultancy dedicated to advancing the purposeful, transparent and effective communications across New Zealand's civic and commercial landscape. Whether advising on policy positioning, facilitating dialogue between sectors, or crafting communications that resonate with diverse audience, my focus has always been on fostering trust, clarity and impact, which you'll see later on. On the 28th of August, at a meal debate attended by Mayor yourself and Sarah Templeton, I asked the question of you both: if re-elected, would you commit to meeting with a ratepayer-initiated task force to consider practical reform measures with a strong focus on reducing rates? And both of you didn't hesitate. Without knowing any detail, thank you for that. The ratepayer-initiated task force is now being formed following extensive engagement by my company, Momentous PR, with individuals, ratepayers, residents groups, industry, bodies and commercial stakeholders. Its establishment reflects Christchurch's increasing call for meaningful reform and greater accountability in civic leadership. Here's some background. As mentioned over the past 2 months, in direct response to this engagement, Momentous PR has gathered compelling insights that point to a growing appetite for practical reform and more accountable leadership across Christchurch. In response, Momentous PR has secured the support of several individuals who have agreed to assist in the creation of a ratepayer-initiated task force. And over the next 5 years, this task force will pursue a series of initiatives aimed at restoring the balance between what council delivers and what residents can afford. This is not about politics. It's about progress. It's about transparency. It's about accountability, and it's definitely about people in Christchurch. The individuals that are assisting me have asked for confidentiality. Several members hold positions or affiliations that could be compromised by premature disclosure. The task force credibility depends on its ability to operate free from undue influence of public pressure during the formative stages. And finally, the campaign is designed to evaluate and promote issues, not individuals. And to preserve this, it is essential that we protect this in the interim. This initiative is not about opposition, it's about proposition. It's about restoring trust, transparency, and ensuring that Christchurch's civic future is shaped by those who live, work, and invest here. To achieve this, I am pleased to announce the launch today of Rate Watch Christchurch with the tagline, making sure council delivers what residents can afford. For those of us working to establish Rate Watch, the original intention was to launch formally in the new year. However, after a series of emerging issues in the lead up to the election, we've brought this forward. Here are a couple of concerns and why we're here. The cave rock lighting. The process behind the report recently considered by the Community Board raises serious concerns about the procedural integrity and democratic accountability by excluding 84% of the submissions, including the most supported one to do nothing. Fortunately, the Community Board listened and the matter was understood, but still they wish to engage with the person behind the lighting with the view of changing it and I would encourage you, Mr Mayor, and the CEO, as per the request, we would welcome the opportunity of working with you to avoid having to turn to lawyers in respect of that. Wings to Wheels. The revelation that Christchurch ratepayers have already been billed about $5 million for consultation associated with reports on Wings and Wheels and the route before a single metre of the project has been built raises profound concerns about accountability, financial stewardship by this council. Ratepayers deserve transparency over how such extraordinary sums could be could be incurred, and the situation suggests not only inefficiencies but also a troubling disregard for fiscal responsibility, especially at a time when residents face ongoing cost of living pressure and rising council rates. The absence of a clear explanation, coupled with the failure to hold decision makers to account, risks eroding public confidence in council process. If consultation alone consumes millions, one must question what will the final cost of the cycleway eventually end up being.
David, how are things coming along? I've got two questions that I'll let, but
Thank you. I'll just sum up, and I have about 1 minute. Lastly, I was very inspired at the mayoral debate held by the press. There was no question that the audience responded enthusiastically to Councillor Templeton's presentation. It was polished, it was confident, and it was well delivered. Yet in my experience, moments like these, it's easy for style to eclipse substance. Mayor Major, you have acknowledged that you don't possess the same ability to communicate as Councillor Templeton, and that is to be commended. There are 2 points that you both raised that I would touch on. Firstly, Mr Mayor, your decision to notify the government of your intent to return funding allocated to certain Christchurch projects on the grounds that the money could be better directed to cyclone-affected communities in the North Island was a principled act of leadership. It reflected integrity and sound judgment. It's unfortunate the significance of this gesture wasn't more clearly conveyed by you during the debate. It warranted far greater recognition in my experience, and I want to express the sincere appreciation of the people I've spoken to who understood what you were trying to do. Councillor Templeton, I admire your enthusiasm for cycleways, and as you know, I've started after a 40-year absence. But a reference, I think, to manufactured opposition or words to the offence to the cycleway was concerning. As I said, as a cyclist myself, has worked professionally with those individuals and groups who hold genuine, well-founded concerns about the rollout. I found the remark dismissive and offensive.
Yeah, I'd just like to... We're not here to criticise individual councillors.
Okay. In conclusion, thank you for listening.
Yep.
For those of you that are re-elected, we hope that you will recognise this is a positive opportunity. And I would like to thank you all in the time that you've been here and for your services, and for, at times, no doubt, the last thing you would like to see at a public forum is momentous public relations. But
thank you, David. Oh, I've got the two people that wanted to ask questions. Tyler, please.
Cheers, David. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
My ears are not gone yet.
Sweet. In Riccarton, I started up a citizens' assembly called the Riccarton Collective, which is quite similar to this, which leads me to my question is, what are the age groups that are the individuals that you've been working with?
Well, look, over the last 30 years, I've worked with people like Grey Power, right through to young folks. This is very early stages, but right now, the grouping of people that we've consulted would probably be sort of 18, anything up to 90. In fact, on the weekend, we sent a team down to Sumner just to consult about 200 people over the issue with the unfortunate lighting. And there was a mix of people, but you know, that's, all ages.
Cool. Thank you. And Sarah, please, and then we'll move on.
Thanks so much for that, David. I'm just wondering, in the past you've presented us a few times on transparency at council,
yes,
and the need for transparency so that you can build trust and confidence. And I'm just wondering how you'll apply that to your new Rate Watch group.
Oh, absolutely. Well, look, as I've said at this stage, there's reasons why I'm not in a position to disclose the people that we're using in the early stages of establishing it. But the obviously going forward, there will be, I would expect, a board appointed once the funding is determined, and that will certainly be a board that's very transparent. It would have to be, because it would be wanting to engage with councillors and if you're the mayor, obviously to meet with you and have discussions.
Thank you.
But in the initial stages, the confidentiality with the people involved in the steering committee to establish it, I have to respect that. I hope you understand.
Yep, thank you very much. Thank you, David. Thank you for coming
Thank
in. Okay, so we've now got Norman, who will talk about derelict buildings, please.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and councillors. Now, public speak is not my forte, so please bear with me. I'm here today to ask the council to urgently review and strengthen its rules enforcement relating to the derelict and long-term vacant buildings across the city. Background and concerns. Several properties in Christchurch have been left derelict and vacant for long periods. These sites create public safety risks, unstable structures, fire risk, health hazard, rubbish, vermin, standing water, attract antisocial behaviour and harm neighbourhood amenities and property values. They also limit the opportunities for productive reuse or development in a city that needs housing and housing intensification. The actual property I have of concern is 361A Pages Road. I think you have a picture of that? Yes? Which has been derelict since the 2011 Christchurch earthquake. At the time, this property has been used by squatters as a drug sales point, a dumping ground for other people's rubbish. It has been fired many times and has had long periods of water leaks and rats. Should this property have been addressed earlier, it would not have needed the expense of the fire brigade on multiple occasions. And after the last fire, the council arranged to have this property fenced off and a net put over the building. This net put over the building stops the tin blowing away, but it doesn't stop the ash and the other piece of debris, smaller debris, flying away. The current presentation of this building makes it difficult for me to sell my property, and it is an eyesore that turns potential buyers off. Friends and people I know on a daily basis ask what is happening with this property. I have to say I must trust our council to do the right thing. I request the council consider and implement a package of measures, including but not limited to creating a public register of long-term vacant and derelict properties with owner contact details and remediation status, introduce minimum maintenance and security standards for vacant buildings, boarding, fencing, pest control with clear timelines for compliance, strengthen enforcement powers and reduce time frames for issuing notices under the Building Act of 2004 and relevant local bylaws, including accelerated powers to make safe, secure or demolish dangerous buildings. Apply financial pressures and penalties, escalating infringement fees, and if appropriate, a vacant property levy or targeted rate to incentivize reuse of these sites. Require owners of high-risk vacant properties to post a bond or financial guarantee to cover emergency remediation or demolition costs if the owner fails to act. Clarify and streamline the process for council to pursue a compulsory acquisition, enforced sale where owners abandon properties or fail to comply. To improve public reporting and transparency on online portal or reporting derelict sites, periodic public reporting on enforcement actions and outcomes, to prioritise enabling repairs and reuse by facilitated expedited consents for safe refurbishment where appropriate, to undertake public consultation and impact status and analysis and report back to with recommended policy or bylaw changes and implementation timetable. Please consider this review in context with relevant legislation, the Building Act of 2004, the Resource Management Act of 1991 and the Local Government Act of 2002 and Christchurch's district planning policies that affect building safety. Now, the last contact I've had with the council was with Matt Blakemore, and he said the property at flat 1, 361 Pages Road, Christchurch, the owner was currently overseas and due back at the end of the month. They will assess the building and the options then. The options for the notice issued are to provide the Christchurch City Council with a detailed plan on how they intend to abate the danger and impose with this building or demolish the building. And they had until the 13th of August to do this. I have since emailed Matt Blakemore, and he has not replied to that email directly to me.
Okay, thank you. So we've got time for one question. Celeste had a hand up, so you go for it, mate.
Thank you. That was a really good presentation. You make some really good points that would be good to pick up on. My understanding is that we've got a report coming back in February, is that right? So there is a report coming back to Council. I know it won't address your specific issue, but there will be more information on looking at some of those tools, because we're doing some work at the moment to explore many of those things you touched on. So thank you so much. And also, can we just pick up on the point that we haven't had a response to that particular inquiry? Thank you. We'll make sure you get some information. So thanks so much
for coming in with your first public speaking role. You did a very good job.
It was rather difficult. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Good on you. Okay.
Thank you.
Jason, please.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just clarify that the staff have provided a response? It hasn't come from Matt, but it has come from staff. So I just wanted people to be aware of that. But there's still questions about the response that need to be addressed. But I just want to make sure that people just
aware.
Correct what was.
Thanks for letting me know. Yep. Okay, Jason. Petition regarding the Grasmere Street development.
Right. Yes, the Grasmere Street developments. Does everyone know Grasmere Street developments? Cranford Basin? Yep. Not well? Okay, so Grasmere Street is the main access point for this development. Have we got just on the signs you'll see there that the council will put a nice sign up saying no trucks, only delivery trucks. Yes, I understand that they are delivery trucks, truck and trailer units carrying tons and tons of shingle, but they are not what the council was meaning by sending down a narrow street. Grasmere Street comes off of Main North Road. I'll get it straight now. We're not interested in stopping the development. Yeah, we won't be able to stop the development. Some people do want to. I don't. What I want is an immediate stop to all truck and trailer movements on Grasmere Street. We do not want to stop the development. We want all vehicles associated with the development to use an access point off of Cranford Street. Yeah. So if we have a look at the first photo or the next photo, you'll see there the intersection. You've got 3 cycleways all on that intersection. The people that are using that intersection are elderly from Nao Marsh, school kids, and a full range of people that are on e-bikes and e-scooters, walkers, all going to the Northlands Mall and to schools. The entrance, so if we can move on to the next one, you'll see that that whole intersection has got 2 sets of lights just there, the truck and trailer movements. Now they're talking about a truck and trailer movement every 15 minutes. That's actually not right. It's actually every 7.5 minutes, because that's one there and then that truck's got to return. Yeah. This is going to go on for years. This isn't just a short term, this is years that we're talking about. The house foundations, if we go on to the next photo, you'll see there, that's the access point going in opposite Nao Marsh through into the actual building to the development site. There's a blind corner right there. Now I've got video footage. Unfortunately, some of that video footage isn't downloading. I've been trying to get with Samantha Kelly to get it on. We've only got a little bit, but we've got trucks that are travelling on the opposite side of the road, driving over the cycleway, not checking the cycleway, and just about taking people out on their e-bikes and e-scooters, and then abusing them for being on the cycleway. Yeah. We've got videos on my phone now of trucks that are travelling around the corner of Grasmere Street that travel onto the opposite side of the road to get around. People are having to reverse their vehicles back to allow the truck to get around the corner. The trucks, when they're leaving, are crossing over onto the left turning lane to allow other trucks to come around the corner. So they're taking up both lanes. It is just causing absolute mayhem. Whoever allowed this obviously wasn't peer reviewed. Yeah, it is unbelievable what is actually happening there. Then we've got the damage to the houses. From my understanding, the developer was supposed to check all the houses for damage, and then be able to check any damage, and that damage is already happening to people's houses, especially the houses that got ring foundations and not piled, because most of the houses now that are built in that area have to be piled. We propose that there's an entrance off of Cranford Street that would need work done to it. It's obviously not designed for trucks, but it is a very, very easy fix for the council to go over council land and to get you guys, as councillors, can get this sorted. Yeah, my mother said, "Where there's a will, there's a way." You guys need to find the will, yeah, to make this happen, because trucks need to stop now. Otherwise, one of your is going to die there. Yeah, and if you don't stop it, then you are responsible for that death.
So thank you, Jason. Your time is just about up. We've got a couple of questions, please, if you'd like to take them.
Have you got that video that we've...
Samantha,
You've got the videos? Okay, there's actually more videos, but yeah.
So they're not on screen, but they are on your devices.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
we will actually get more to you.
yep, and you've delivered the message pretty clearly. Thank you, Yanni, and then Victoria.
Thank you, and thanks. It's obviously really concerning, and appreciate you bringing the concerns to us. Have you contacted council and been told who approved or who was responsible for making the decision to enable this to be the access way?
We haven't. It was only because a certain councillor had a meeting. We knew nothing about this a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
We've been told nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was only because a certain councillor had a meeting at Noah Marsh, and the word got around.
Right.
That we actually showed up to and said,
okay,
what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we find out, can we find out who's responsible for
Yeah,
this
I'm going to
decision
allow
making?
the Chief Executive to make a comment in a minute, but we'll just have
Okay.
Councillor Henstock's question. Hang on, Jason, we'll just have the question.
Jason, thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us about this today. You know I'm very familiar with it. Can you just mention the petition that you've got, please? Because you haven't had a chance to talk about that.
The petition we've got is 208 signatures, and that was very quickly done. We've got a lot more people that wanted to sign it that I haven't been able to get to sign it. But the problem is that they've broken every rule. I understood that they weren't supposed to use Grants Road. They've broken that rule. We understand they're only supposed to be doing it every second week. They've broken that rule. They were going that last week, now they're going again this week. They should be stopped.
Yeah. Okie doke, so I'll get the Chief Executive to respond.
Just clarify, because of the nature of time, our local councillor and the GM of our regulatory consents and policy will meet with you briefly outside and can give you some more information about this, and then we can report back to council when there's sufficient time.
So
Thank you.
Can we, as councillors, though, get an understanding of how these temporary traffic management plans are approved? I've raised concerns about the process around this as well.
That's what I said.
Like
Sorry, I may not have been loud enough with my. We will report back to councillors. We haven't got time to provide that
it was
now.
just the local councillor.
And we will find a way to help you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Right. Don't know where the petition is. Oh, you have already. Thank you.
So do we note that we received the petition?
Okay, deputations. We have no deputations today. We've got a couple of minutes open in PX. I'm happy to move those, and Pauline's happy to second them. Any issues? No discussion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thanks. That's carried. Now we'll do this Community Board Part A report, and then we'll have a break. Okay. Second it. It's been all over the place, isn't it? And it's craft money that doesn't really...
Yeah, so it's craft money, yeah.
Can I just note that I own a property about 200 metres from this intersection? I don't think there's an issue, but I'm just raising it just for the transparency.
Yeah. Okay, is there any, it's fairly self-explanatory. Has anyone got any questions of staff that would like to, Yanni, please?
Yeah, cool. And can I thank you for sending the memo through? Like, it was really cool to get the memo around the major cycleway that was going through here and the design options that you've got. From my reading of the report, you've... Sorry, what? Did you want to...
No, go ahead.
So in 4.42, it says that the Southern Lights cycleway is proposed for the Strickland Street connecting Quarryman's Trail with the cycleway on Tennyson Street. And these changes have been developed in conjunction with early design optioneerings for the major cycleway route. In the memo that you've provided, there's a number of options around the MCR, including one called the full MCR. Is the design that's been put in place the full MCR design, or is it able, like, can you just tell us the difference between what the full MCR design is and what the option is that's going there, and then what the changes would be required in terms of going forward?
These are two separate things. So the MCR options...
It's in the report.
Yeah, the options for the MCR were developed as a way of future-proofing this work for anything that came later. So my understanding is that any of the options that were produced could be, for the MCR, could be put in with this in place. I think one of the options, my understanding, there's a small modification to the end of that median island on the southern side of Strickland Street. But other than that, all the rest of them can be put in with no changes to this. So that was the plan. We were trying to come up with something that was future-proofed for when the MCR came.
So basically, you wouldn't expect any double digging.
Yeah, like Yanni, they've answered the question. Have you got one more precise question, please? Otherwise, we'll go on for you.
Yeah. So basically, in terms of what happens with the services and things like that, any work that would have to be done at a later stage is not going to undermine the work that you're doing now as part of this proposal.
It shouldn't do. I mean, it's still any MCR designs are still subject to consultation and decisions from council. So I can't 100% hand on heart say that it won't change, but the plan is that it's been designed in such a way that it shouldn't.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Yanni. Tim, you've got as the... Well, now's a good time.
Look, as one of the councillors that represents the area, Sarah Templeton's borders on part of the road, and Melanie's is just down the road. So as a community board, we were fully informed of this and fully supportive of it. It's a really sensitive area. It's got commercial, residential, a lot of entertainment, and it is highly sensitive to go through there. So I think the staff have done an outstanding job. Their communication with both the residents and the commercial activity there has been really, really good. And that helped us make our decisions based on the information coming back, both by residents and the commercial sector. So irrelevant of MCRs or whatever, this area needed to be looked at to be made safer. They've done an outstanding job. And as we all admit, that it's not the silver bullet that will solve all the problems, but it is a really good step forward, and whatever happens in the future happens in the future. But I'm really pleased to move this, and thank my colleagues for supporting it, and let's move forward positively. So thank you.
So, Jacob, one wee question from me is the Strickland Street is going to be the main action, so to speak, and Summerfield will, because of those lumps, be sort of the secondary, the quieter road. Is that how it's nutted out to be? I actually went down to Moon Underwater last night and did a recce, and I didn't break anything. At a nice pub too, but that'll make Summerfield Street sort of the side road, for want of a better word, rather than it all mashing together in one place. Is that?
That's essentially the plan. It's also that's the crossing point across Summerfield Street there. So yeah, it's to slow people down at that crossing point, because people do come through there quite quickly.
So I won't mention the speed humps then. Okay, rightio. So Yanni, did you have one more question? I saw your hand up, and then I'm going to put it.
So the information's really, really good that you've, like the memo that you've sent, and I know in the memo it says that is public. I'm just trying to understand why this is public, but the other MCRs in my area are not. And as you'll be aware, I've been trying to get similar information around the other
Yanni,
MCRs.
it's out of scope for what we're talking about here.
Oh,
Okay?
well,
This is an
I'll
intersection.
talk
Sorry.
about it in debate then. It's fine.
We're in debate.
All right. Well, can I just start? Like, I think it's really heartening to see that there has been some public transparency around the MCR, around the Southern Lights intersection. Because this project, although it's a craft project, you can read in the report that it is actually directly related to the future MCR going through here. And I think the idea that we would work with the community in a transparent and engaged process around the design is something that should be commended. And so I will again say that I think it's excellent that you've engaged with the local community around options for this area, but also in terms of stopping double digging in some of the other parts of the city, it would be really good to have the same transparency on other routes and other projects that we're doing around MCRs. And I cannot understand the inconsistency why on one side of the city we've got really good transparency and on the other side we don't. So I welcome the memo that was sent by staff. Thank you for answering the questions I had. I think it is a good solution to address what is not a good design of an intersection at the moment, and I support doing these works.
Okay. Righto, thank you for that. So we've got a mover and seconder. I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. Excellent. So we will now come back at 11:10, please.
Celebrating that they got
We've got the PX people outside who are here to talk about it. I'm going to move, we're going to PX, and Victoria's going to second it, so let's go into PX. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. So just give us a couple of secs to clear the room and we'll get everyone in. we're back in public. Thank you very much, everybody. So now we'll do Lincoln Road Passenger Transport Improvement, Stage 2B. So we've got, we've got all sorts of people. Right, far away. Now I'll let you present this, and then just, this is mainly because we know a bit about what's going on, and we like to think we do, but this is for the public to understand where we're at, and there's probably a number of questions to be asked on what we're doing here, there, and everywhere on it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, right, so there was a diagram which hopefully Sam will get up in a minute, because I think that makes it a bit easier. There we go. There we go. So the yellow section is obviously the section we've already built. That's the part through Addington that's already bus lanes. And the purple bit at the very bottom is the part that NZTA are currently doing. So that's underway, and my understanding is that opens in early next year. October 26. The light blue section is already 4 lanes. That's not bus lanes, but that's not what's up for consideration today. That was pushed out in the annual plan. So we're left with the green and the black sections on there. So a layout for this was approved back in 2022, and we were instructed to go ahead during the annual plan. The original plan included widening the southern side of that road all the way down. As we worked through the design, it became apparent there was a property issue on that southern side down near the Curlitz Road intersection. And there's also a culvert which needed widening, and there's an Orion box there that required relocating. The cost of that became quite large, and if we were to go through a process to try and obtain that land, it would take quite a long time.
Sorry, quickly, Jacob, just quickly.
Yeah.
The bit of land we don't own and the culvert are in the same little area.
They're in, yes, they're just south, on the opposite side from Annex Road, and a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, southwest?
No, not in the black bit. It's in
the black bit. Yes, it's in the black bit. It's in the black bit on the southern side of the road.
Yeah.
So we were looking at an option that narrowed it back down again just when we got to that culvert, so just at the black section. So essentially you'd have a bus lane that came all the way down, the green section would narrow into the main traffic lane across the culvert, and then it would come to the Curlitz Road intersection. And that was the main option we were looking to put forward. Very recently, it became, we had an opportunity to look at purchasing a small strip of land along that northern side of the black section, which is Ministry of Education land. We've looked at that, and that would then allow us to keep that bus lane all the way down to the Curlitz Road intersection. It has some challenges. I won't come away from that. There's essentially the road would take up the entire culvert width, and so then we would have to build a footpath that crosses. There's a river at that point that crosses the river on a new footbridge that we would need to build. So we haven't got into a point where there's.
Help you a bit.
That definitely helps, yeah. So you can see there's a new footpath. There's a new footpath that we would have to build in the land that we would purchase, and then a footbridge that we would need to build to link it into the Annex Road footpath. And, well, that's the MCR, that's the Norwest Arc MCR. So what we're proposing is essentially that we build the design as is from Annex Road up to Littleton. And then on this section, we go away, carry on with the design, and report back to council really early in the new term on whether that's feasible. And that allows us to get on with that northern section. It allows us to do the 3 waters work, so they are absolutely screaming at us to do, because it's really urgent and I think at real risk of failure. And we can come back on whether this is feasible, because there are unquestionably risks around the design and consents and cost and so on that we haven't got to the bottom of yet. So that's the proposal. That's the recommended option, is that we go ahead with that northern end, and this end we come back to you in the new term for a decision on whether we go for this or we carry on with that pinch point.
At least
narrowing.
it's getting the wheels in motion. Otherwise, we sit and wait for the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Okay. Just question, Pauline as well. Yeah. Just one question from me. The 2 numbers are the 15 mil and the 13 mil. Is that right? The fifth. Does that include all the water work stuff or sewer or no?
That's
so
the transport
this is the
section.
road only.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. No, that's fine. Yep, that's good. And I assume the difference mainly, just for the public, the extra 2 million is for that little bit down that end, the extra work that's going to be required there, maybe?
Yeah, it's the property purchase and the bridge, yes.
Yeah, okay, no, that's cool. Andre, please.
Thank you. Are you able to talk a bit about the urgent three waters works required in the area?
So they're going to replace the main sewer
Yep.
From Wrights Road up to Annex Road.
Yep.
At that point, they're going to abandon the asset across the bridge. So it's quite a good point that it actually stops.
Yep.
But yes, they have been wanting to do that work for a while.
Yeah,
And if we don't continue with the traffic, the transport part of it, they're going to have to go ahead anyway. So by doing them together, we'll be digging up the road once.
Okay, so that's really, really useful. So the Three Waters work's going to need to be done quite soon anyway.
Yeah.
And if this sort of work was deferred a number of years down the track, we will have to dig up this road twice.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Pauline Ninyani?
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. Just the resolution is extremely long. Basically, the resolution is your recommendation.
Yes.
So if we
Yeah,
want
it
to
did.
support what you just said, we just vote for the staff resolution.
Yes.
Yep? Thank you.
Okay. Yanni, please.
Thanks. So just for section 2B, the cost is 15 million, is that?
Yes.
Why does it cost so much?
Well, the original project budget, this was back in 2022, was around the 12 million. And since then, we've had quite a number of increases in costs, just generally, from the construction costs, the service provider costs, materials, etc. The extra, so effectively it's gone to 13 million if you go for the the option 2, but the extra costs taking up to 15 is because we've got to look at land purchase, the bridge, the pedestrian bridge as well, and further consultation.
Have you looked at a land swap with the Ministry of Education rather than us constantly buying land off them? We can get land
No, this has just been a very recent conversation,
Right.
and we actually only need, as you can see from the plan, a very small amount of land from them.
So it won't be a big cost.
So it won't be a big cost that we'll be looking into.
Just in terms of the PT Futures program, do we have visibility of what those projects are? I'm just concerned that we don't know where the 2.1 million impact will be felt.
We haven't got confirmation of the full programme yet, no.
So effectively, there's just a program level budget of how much for PT Futures?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I need to have a look.
So it's unallocated PT Futures budget that
Yep.
sits at a program level.
Yep.
That you're using. It's not tagged to like Ferry Road or.
Not at this stage, no. The most likely places for those to go are to support uplifts on routes 1 and 5, I think. They're the most likely next steps of the PT Futures programme.
Right. Okay. And just to be clear, is this part of the money that the government had offered that we said we didn't need, or is this a separate project?
So I presume you're referring to the 78 million that had been discussed in the meeting.
Never existed.
Sorry?
Carry on.
Lincoln Road had not sat in that programme of works, no.
Right. And so any discussion with NZTA about funding this recently?
During the annual plan, we as staff recommended pushing this back so that we could do a business case for this piece of work, and council made a resolution to pull it forward and do it now. So that's why we are here.
Thank you.
And sorry if I might say through the chair, NZTA have since then confirmed that this would not be a priority for funding.
Yeah. And did they give a reason?
It's essentially all their money in the public transport infrastructure space is already allocated, so there's no money left for them.
Yep. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Yanni. Mel, please.
I just wanted to move.
I've already done that. But you can happy to second it. Okay, yeah, that's cool. So I've got a mover and seconder. I've got one more little question. On page 48, Jacob, we did talk about, and I see it's written there, about because it was mentioned, oh, we remove the trees, we're going to save having to dig a hole through the concrete of the old tram line at every tree hole. And I thought that would have been actually quite a cost saving, but it says that it's not going to be any cost saving by not digging that hole and just putting the tree in versus concrete. Yep.
So we gave that option to the QS to look at, and they did all the quantities that were required to fill that space, because we would still have the central median. So still needed, although you didn't have to dig out as much concrete, there was a saving there. But by the time you filled that space and used a material such as pressed concrete, there was no saving. We did challenge that, and they looked at it again and they said, no, there's no savings. In fact, it was a tiny bit more expensive.
I can't see that at all. Never mind. So I'm not going to win that. Okay, so we'll do debate. If anyone wants to debate. Andre, you want to debate?
Oh, yeah, why not? Thank you. This is very timely because I had the most tedious, slow journey here this morning along this road. An additional lane was needed on Lincoln Road quite some years ago. The project was intended to be completed some years ago as well. It has been identified as a key transit corridor as part of our greater spatial plan, and we know this because we did enable more housing density along this last week. We just heard that this project is not a priority for NZTA. It does not appear likely to get funding from them anytime soon. So delaying this project isn't going to make it any cheaper for us. But NZTA did just spend 60 million on the Halswell Road part. So in effect, NZTA has actually funded the guts of what we're talking about here, which is this corridor. Delaying by a few years has already increased the cost for us. Delaying further will continue to increase costs. And we just heard today as well, so Three Waters need to press ahead with urgent work on our water pipes, which isn't too surprising because there's been a whole lot of growth in the area, so the infrastructure needs to keep up. And it would be quite good to avoid any repeats of what we've had recently with digging up a road multiple times in short time frames when we could have done all work at the same time. So it's really, really good to hear that the intention here is to do work on both the road, adding an extra lane that we desperately need, and doing the pipes at the same time. That sounds extremely sensible to me. As for the bus lanes, when we've got bugger all buses in Halswell, I still have reservations around that. I'm still really open to considering things like a T2 lane in future, but that's going to need to link up with whatever NZTA are doing as well for it to be consistent and for it to actually work. But I remain really open-minded to that. We need to get people moving between Halswell and the city. As much as I would like to have more bus routes, they will be many, many years away. So I'm continuing with an open mind on that one. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to have a wee no? I'll just throw a 5 bob at it. I'm very pleased to see this going in, because with the money that we have spent prior on the city side, it works as well as it can with the room we've got. The government is spending a small fortune, 60 mil, I think you said, Andre, was it, on that bit, and that's not costing a cent. So we've got this bit in the middle, which will, and if we don't do it, it'll become a bottleneck, and it'll just upset everyone, and everyone will poke the borax at us. So we need to get on with it and get it done and make it flow, because as we all know, there are a lot of people living out in Halswell and further afield that come down there and they use that road. And if we make it so that buses can get down there easily, that more people might use it. So I'm more than happy, as I say, I was more than happy to move this, and Mel's happy to second it. So I will put this motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Brilliant. Thank you. That's carried. Right. We're motoring along now. Number 9. Plan Change Exemption Program. Darren, Sarah and Mark. okie doke. Welcome back, and give us some information, please. We talked about it the other day, which was very good, and I think there's a couple of little bits you want to just tidy up on. Is that right, or make it a wee bit clearer? I understand, but please do.
Thank you, Mayor Major. Kia ora, councillors. Yep, we're back here today following our workshop session yesterday about the plan change exemptions. Yep, I'll just clear up a couple of the amendments to the recommendations. So 3A1, proposed plan change 7, managing significant indigenous vegetation. This is the notified version. We've taken out of that recommendation the potential variation to align with the MPS IB. And then at 3B 1 and 2, those have been deleted, and 3B3 has been retained, which is a proposed combined plan change comprising the rezoning elements of PC20, the industrial plan change, and the rezoning requests that were put forward through the pre-notification engagement on that plan change, and other parts of the proposed rezoning plan change that would support economic growth in alignment with government priorities on economic growth. Just before I assume that we've taken the report as read otherwise. Yep. So just before we go on to that, I'll just take the opportunity just to remind you that the kind of key points from yesterday were aligning with the government criteria in the Act, aligning with government priorities, and the key question, what is the actual urgency to have a plan change over the next 2 years? Thank you.
Okay, so I've got Tyler first, then Pauline.
Kia ora, guys. Just wanted to ask about plan change 20, and I do understand the economic growth part of that, and making sure that it aligns with the needs and wants of government. I just wanted to know what the implications were with this recommendation. So we had the other ones yesterday that were proposed. What does this mean in layman's terms, what we're doing in regards to plan change 20?
In terms of plan change 20, that would mean that we would proceed with, I guess I wouldn't call it plan change 20 anymore. What we would proceed with would be those requests that were made during the pre-notification engagement for rezoning. And that would be around the kind of interface areas between residential and industrial mainly. And most of those requests have been for rezoning to residential.
Okay. I might have some later, but I'll just get some more clarification.
Pauline?
The first recommendation. So I was just wondering what happened to plan change 7. Is that in there? Or what? That's what I'm looking for. Yep, that's great. So that is the recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, so that is there. Yanni has a question.
Thank you. I appreciate that we need to go to the Minister, but can we also get either noting provision or a formal resolution to contact the local members of Parliament and brief/seek their advocacy on this as well?
Can do. But correct me if I'm wrong, we just put this, we decide on whatever we decide today, it doesn't matter. You guys put it forward to the Minister and he'll go, yeah, nah, and we'll be at his mercy.
Yeah, I attached to the report the application form, and we just have to fill that in as best we can, advocating the points, and then it will be up to the Minister to decide.
Yeah, but as I understand it, I mean, we're up against a whole bunch of lobbyists, people trying to influence government. What are we doing to influence government outside of just sending letters?
We're just following the program as laid out for us. In terms of officers, we're not lobbying.
Right. So at a governance level, I feel like we need to lift our game around, you know, trying to get government to listen to us, given that they have a propensity for just ignoring us on many things. So is there a way that we can kind of think about some sort of strategy to influence the MPs, to put pressure on the ministers? Victoria Henstock raised this after the last election 3 years ago.
We'll be pleased to know that in the induction plan, that is a plan to meet with the MPs in the new council.
Go again.
When's our next meeting with local MPs?
It's not, it's in the new triennial. It's in
Right.
the plan at the moment.
Yeah. But don't forget, the government, the minister came along and said, right, stop all these plan changes, because not blaming us, you know, all over the country, he felt there was far too many. Let's see if we can change things around because of the new RM reforms. And so we're just asking if we can keep some of them going, a la the central city noise one, because it's extremely important that we get that sort of knocked on the head, and there's a hell of a lot of work being done on it to get it to this point. We're so close, but all, so that's why we're putting things like that in.
I understand that. So I know, like, for example, Plan Change 20, the residents have contacted their local MPs repeatedly over concern about the impact of the industrial development on residential, because it's actually it's probably preventing some type of development, residential development happening, because the adverse impacts.
But
so
that's
people
what,
have been talking to their MPs,
yeah,
saying they want something done about it, and so that's why I think it's important to actually have some support from local members of parliament around what we're asking government to do, because it makes sense that we can continue that, given the frustration.
That's why we're asking for the exemption on 3B.
Yeah.
Dot.
So could we get, like, for example, letters of support from the local members of parliament? That would be one suggestion I would put forward.
Okay.
Just to be clarified, in central government, decisions are made by the ministers and by cabinet. They're not made the same way they're made in council,
Sure.
with all the MPs sitting around voting on things.
But we've also seen, in terms of the alcohol reforms, for example, people will be well aware of the decisions that have been made by this government around the external parties that have had huge influence on the outcome. So if we should be trying to think about ways that we can get that.
Okay.
That's all.
We'll talk to them. No problem.
Anyway, thanks, staff, for the report.
Has it been moved, Sam?
Pauline's
Pauline's moving it. Outside Tyler's got a question. Pauline's moving it, and Andre's seconding it. Go, Tyles.
Thank you so much for the policy advice. I actually wanted to ask from more of a political aspect, and it's probably for Mary, asking around Plan Change 20. We do recognise that. I mean, it's more about getting the best that we can get from the government and the Crown, and ensuring that we do get it. Because if we just went in and said we want this done, and then he says no, then that's Plan Change 20 kaput.
Only until the new RM stuff comes in.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a way forward, and from what I'm seeing, that the staff recommendation that's changed sounds like it's the pertinent way forward that actually could get some outcomes. Am I correct in thinking that? Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Okay. We've got to move in a second. We've got probably no more questions. Any debate or questions? Sorry, Andre. Yep. All right. Your debate, Andre. Yanni, your question? Okay, let's go. Andre, then Yanni.
Thank you. I just want to thank staff for their speedy action on this. So within literal minutes of Minister Bishop finishing the speech, our staff were already on to this process to figure out what the go with exemptions was, within literal minutes. So I appreciate that very much. They were onto it straight away. And I will just thank very much our engagement staff as well. So one of these plan changes, PC21 has been one of our most responded to ever surveys, one of our most responded to ever plan changes. The numbers that have come in are significant. We had 3,400 responses to a survey on PC21 a couple of years ago. That's one of our most responded to surveys ever. And it's probably the only survey we've ever done that was majority from younger people as well. And we've had 1,400 responses to this recent, very detailed survey on PC21, which again will be a record amount, one of the highest responses we've ever had to for something about a plan change. Plan changes aren't usually very exciting, but this one certainly has been for many, it seems. So thank you very much to both our staff putting these exemptions together and the engagement staff who have helped us get there and made a pretty strong case to the Minister. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I thank staff for the work that they've done on this too. I think it's huge frustration that a government that wants us to reduce rates and to save money is actually undoing a whole bunch of money and resources that were spent doing these plan changes. So I hope that they'll consider that when it comes to the consideration for the exemption, because it does seem inherently unfair to have made us waste a whole bunch of money on something that they've just arbitrarily decided to stop. For example, Plan Change 20 has been in the development for over 5 years, probably almost 7 years of this council being asked to do something, and got to a stage where we were ready to get stuff done, and it seems inherently unfair that it would suddenly be stopped. You know, if we want more people to live in good, nice neighbourhoods in terms of amenity, in terms of the environmental aspects, then we do need to think about what we can do to mitigate the impact of industrial activities on those residential neighbourhoods, particularly where we're seeing an increase in intensive housing or higher density housing being built. Not to have some controls over the industrial effects is just, to me, very short-sighted. So I hope the government will support the exemptions we're putting forward. I think we also, as a city, need to think about how we influence central government. Clearly, we've seen that Canterbury is missing out on its share of funding for things like NZTA funding. It's very apparent that we do not feature highly as a priority, and you know, it just seems we're constantly punished by central government in terms of not getting the resources that we require, being told that we should spend less when we've got more to do because they're asking us to. So thank you to staff for the work that they've done. I really hope we can progress Plan Change 20. It's incredibly important. It should have been done a long time ago. We're at a point where we can get action on it. It would be such a shame and be devastating to those local communities who have suffered to have it stopped right now.
Okay, Tyrone, please.
Kia ora. So I'm just going to vote against this. I really commend staff. I think staff are doing a brilliant job, our planning staff, in really, really tough circumstances, and this is another example of that. But what this sort of direction represents is just a further barrier to the redevelopment of Littleton post-earthquake. Littleton's commercial centre got absolutely devastated. Landowners are, during the earthquake, landowners are completely disincentivised to do any development there because of the miasma of like overlays and, you know, just planning blockages that prevent the commercial centre of Littleton to be redeveloped. There's a long-standing community wish to get trucks off Norwich Quay and to reactivate the bottom street of Littleton, and you know, this is really just another barrier in the way of that, so I cannot support it. Cheers.
Sorry, you can't support it? Is that what you said? Okay, that's right. I'll just have a little bit of a response to Yanni saying that we haven't got any money off the government for transport stuff. So in the last 2.5 years, we've had $270 million that we never had before. So where we see that there's no appetite from government to give us any money, we have not dipped out the way you think. So, okay, so we're going to move and seconder. Now, Sam, do you want to just explain exactly which ones we're doing if we do the staff rec?
So what's been moved and seconded are the updated staff recommendations. So for proposed Plan Change 7, we're just voting on I, which is the version as notified. And for proposed Plan Change 20 and the rezoning, we're just voting on the combined plan change now.
Yep, and all the others.
And then Plan Change 17, Plan Change 21 and Kerrs Reach.
Okay, thank you very much. That's brilliant. Okay, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried, and Tyrone is no.
Correct.
Alrighty, thank you very much, everyone. We'll move on to unsolicitors proposed sale of part 177 Armour Street. I'm happy to move it, and Kelly's happy to second it. We'll have to go into PX if we're starting to get into valuation stuff. It's a tiny wee bit of dirt that must have taken a lot of time to do this, Angus. So is there any questions? Oh, no, we're already there, mate. We're miles ahead of you. Okay. No question. Any debate? No, thank you very much. All of those in favour? Aye. Against? Thanks, that carried. It's that'd be one of the best reports you've ever written. Okay, so now we're on to Taylor's Mistake Batches Working Party update. Is that you too, mate?
Do you want a bit of an intro or?
A very well. I'm happy. Anyone happy to move it or second? But it'd be interesting to hear what's going on. Sarah's happy to move it, and I'm more than happy to second it. But if you just give us a real broad brush thing, just mainly for the public, Angus, would be good.
Oh, Kathy's happy too. I just want to point out there's no decisions here. This is just information and wrapping up the working party.
So some of you may have read that we're demolishing 4 batches. At the moment, Mother Nature hasn't been kind and apparently has taken away about 1 metre of sand. So the demolition equipment, salvage equipment can't get in safely. So this is going to be delayed until they're thinking early summer. All the asbestos has been removed from those batches and the sites are all fenced off and safe. We have 2 batches left that haven't signaled their intent to enter into a license. They have until September 15th. And then we'll be following up with them with some recommended action, which may see a report coming back to the council looking for whether or not we're going to leave the batches as they are or possibly recommend demolition and removal of those ones. They're in the moderate to high risk area. So I think they are struggling with some of their own personal issues at the moment and haven't been able to commit. We've got 3 batches that are being considered for museum status, and they're just currently with the geotechnical team to see if they fulfill all of the criteria that we set. So we'll come back with a memo to the chief executive to recommend the museum batch licenses, and then anything else that falls out of this will come back to the council.
So just for my daft head, could you just explain to me what possibly could be museum status? Does that mean leaving it there forever?
Leaving it there for the length that we're going to allow the batches to remain. They're not allowed to occupy them, which could be a contentious spot. They still have to carry insurance, public liability, but no overnight stays, but they can go and visit, have a picnic.
And these are
that sort of
generally,
thing.
because I have been over there with Sarah, these are generally looking out from Taylor's Beach round to the left. They're all in that little bay.
I believe so. I've only been down there once, so not certain.
Yeah, Hobson's Bay's got the ones where they're being demolished. The ones that are applying for museum status are at Boulder Bay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's righto, so I've got to move in second, and thank you for that explanation. It's very good. Ty, right? Far away.
So thank you, and so the implications of this report on what are the implications of this report on any batch owner anywhere in the Christchurch city boundaries that does not have a licence to occupy?
There's no implications from this report. This information report winds up the working party. Any other batches or occupation of public land would be need to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you.
Right, good question. Okay, so we've got mover and seconder. Yep, and we've had questions, any debate? I think it's all pretty clear. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye, thank you. And against? That's carried. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We come to the last one of the day, which is, now this is a housekeeping one. So we don't need to delve deep into it, but don't let me sway what you're going to say. So, is someone who's on that? Yep, Tim's happy to move it, and Pauline's happy to second it. Is there any question to the report that we would have read thoroughly? Nope. Is there any debate on it? As I say, it's just housekeeping. Yeah.
Just want to say thanks to our staff. It's you are really leaders in this field in our country. So it's really good to see. I mean, Auckland's having a lot of problems. You guys do it so well, so thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, Pauline. Same.
Yeah, I'd just like to say too that to encourage the public to read this report, to show this is just yet another stream of really important work that council does with it's over 45,000 dogs in Christchurch, and not all of them are under effective control, and not all of the owners do the right thing, sadly. And also there are effects of dogs on other people like neighbours. So this is a really important program that council runs, and I just think that this is a really good report to read to show us exactly the challenges that we face in keeping everybody safe, including the dogs.
Yeah, a lot of work.
So there's good information in here. I encourage the public particularly dog owners, to have a wee look at it. And thank you.
And I reiterate that. Thank you very much once again. That's great. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. That's carried. So we're now at karakia time. Kia Te Tapu, kia Whateia, Te Tiara, kia Tūruki, Wakataka Ai, kia Tūruki, Wakataka Ai, Home, Hure, Tahi Ai. Thank you so much.